Kråkan, also known as Corvus Cornix, and welcome to Yacc, yet another Crowcast where I pick a game, I play it for a week, and then I'll talk about it. This week's game is Excitebike for the Nintendo Entertainment System. It was released in Europe in 1986, developed by Nintendo R&D 1 and Nintendo R&D 4, and published by Nintendo. And also there'll be spoilers up ahead just so you know, but first a little backstory. I think it's starting to become a meme at this point, but I had a friend growing up that was way into dirt bikes, and he also had this game. Sadly, we drifted apart as adults as we finished school and whatnot, but this game at least brings back some of the good memories that I had as a kid. As you boot up the game, you are prompted to select three options: Selection A, Selection B, and Design. Selection A is just you on a single dirt bike track. Selection B is, other players you race against. And Design is, you design your own course basically. So what do you do in Excitebike? Will you ride on a track with a dirt bike? You jump, you have arrows that refill your engine power, and you have dirt puddles that you try to avoid. So this game has an interesting jump mechanic. When you go up a jump, you want to tilt the D-pad to the left, and when you're about to land, you want to tilt it to the right, so you will stick the landing. So if you don't stick a landing, you will crash, and you can recover from a crash a little bit faster if you tap the buttons. So this game has some other mechanics as well. So if you hold the B button, you will boost your dirt bike, but this will also rise the temperature of the engine. So you can cool down the engine by driving over arrows. And at the beginning of this week, I thought those were speed boosts. I was kind of confused when I didn't get the boost. So if the bike overheats anyway, you have to stop a bit for it to cool down. So you kind of want to avoid this. So there's this balance. You accelerate normally by holding the A button, and sometimes you want to boost to, get ahead of the competition or finish a lap as fast as possible. So if you have selected selection A or B, you just drive on the track as normal. So the first track is pretty simple, a few jumps, some arrows, to recover the engine temperature, to drop it down. Nothing too weird to write home about, right? Track 2 is just like track 1, but more mud and stuff you have to avoid. So the third track is, they changed the color palette for this one. There are a couple of high jumps. I think this level takes place during nightfall. So the fourth track is run on green grass, at least that's what I wrote in my notes. So this is the hardest track yet. It has these obstacles that looks like logs or bumps, so if you tap left on the D-pad you can ride over them without any trouble whatsoever. But I didn't know this at the beginning of the week, so this was my first fail. So I had to restart all the way from track 1 and redo the whole thing. It's not that hard, or there's barely any challenge to it, but So after beating Section A, I moved on to Section B, and this is where this game really shines. I had a lot of fun. You race against other dirt bike riders. And as I said, it's a lot of fun. I came into like a flow and I just beat level after level, and I just had a lot of fun with it. And that's how games are supposed to be played. So gameplay. Race yourself or with other racers for the best time, or design your own tracks. Control. The D-pad moves the bike up and down. So if you press up on the D-pad or down, you move down, up and down. It's like the track is like 4 lanes that you can move up and down upon. If you press backwards on the D-pad, you do a wheelie with the bike, and if you're about to land with your bike, you want to tap forward a bit, so you stick the landing. And the B boosts your bike a bit, but you don't want it to overheat, so you kind of have to balance it with the other function, which is the A button that accelerates and the start button pauses. Also, when you crash, you can tap the A and B button repeatedly and you will recover faster. Graphics. The graphics are really simple. You have a stadium with a green field and a dirt track on it. And I also think that the dirt bike rider sprite looks kind of neat. Sound and music. Makito Nakasuka made the music for this game, and there are a couple of tracks, not that many, but a funny thing where the music kind of changes a bit depending on how you finish a race. So there's a little hint there, a little nice detail. Easter eggs, secrets, and glitches. So this week I watched a speed run of this game. About 5 minutes and 02 seconds. So the way that this guy does it is that when he's about to stick a landing, you're supposed to tilt the bike forward, right? So he does this in a weird manner where he almost like tips over, and if done correctly, he actually gets a speed bonus. Like he zooms through the levels, and it looks kind of funny. But it's also, as I said before about speedrunning, is that it's an interesting category because how creative people get when they try to do a thing as fast as possible. So normally you don't want to tilt too much, but if you do it just right, you will actually get a speed bonus. I didn't know that. So in conclusion, I wrote, yes, try it, play it, it's fun. So this game is simple to pick up and learn, and it's fun to play in short bursts. So on the negative end, it doesn't have a lot of longevity. It only has 5 tracks. I mean, it's an early NES game. It's actually one of the black box games, the really early stuff. And another sad part is that it doesn't have multiplayer. It's a single player game. This would have been super fun to play with like a younger sibling back in the day or something, or a friend, because it becomes a lot more competitive if you have a friend to play with. But this game is perfectly fine for what it is. I totally forgot how fun this game was, but it was like over 15 years ago since I last played it, or even longer. It's kind of crazy thinking back at it and those times, reminiscing about how it was. But yeah, I enjoyed this game, so go play it. So anyway, thanks for listening and or watching, and take care.